Hello everyone, welcome to my new video. In this video I'm going to choose my next go-to sketchbook. Recently I finished this one. They were in heavy rotation last few months. I have a full video flip through of this sketchbook, and I don't have a flip through of this one, but I'm going to film it just in a moment. Anyway, I want a new travel sketchbook that will become my stable for some time, and I have these three options. I already talked about all of them in my art haul from France. This is Canson Graduate, this is Aquapad by Clairefontaine, and this is sketchbook by some Darwi brand that is very new to me. I'm going to test all of them. Actually, I'm just going to draw a sketch in every of them, some mixed media sketch, that's why I have some variety of materials here with me. I will share my thoughts and feelings about them afterwards, and I will choose the one that suits me better right now for my upcoming new travel. Let's start with the one I have highest hopes about. This is Canson Graduate. But first let me explain what I am hoping to find. The thing is, I am looking for one sketchbook that can do pretty much everything. Sometimes I want to paint with watercolor, sometimes I want to work with colored pencils or neocolor crayons or acrylic markers, and sometimes I just wanted to be able to make a quick sketch with whatever I happen to have in my bag. It should be able to handle some watercolor, but if I decide to draw with just colored pencils or crayons or something dry, I don't want to feel guilty about wasting a heavy, expensive sheet of watercolor paper. This Canson isn't actually marketed as a mixed media paper, but it's 160 GSM, and I've heard quite a few people say that it handles some amount of water. So, to be honest, I have relatively high expectations, let's put it this way. Now, after trying it, to be completely honest, I'm not entirely in love, probably, with how watercolor behaves on this surface, but this paper absolutely survives the water. Nothing dramatic happens. It's good, it works. It's just like, how to put it right, it's just not really satisfying. But that's probably because I used to use a lot of real watercolor paper. It's not the one. Anyway, it doesn't feel particularly great, but it doesn't feel particularly bad. So now the watercolor layer is dry, and it's time to apply some dry materials. I'm going to do dry layer with colored pencils and neocolor crayons. The colored pencils feel really smooth on this paper. It was easy to add some little details and build up the contrast. Neocolor crayon also made a difference. They added more accents and nuances. And by the end, the sketch had so much more depth and character than it did after the watercolor stage. So, while I wasn't particularly in love with the painting of this paper, it was okay though, but I just wasn't in love, I genuinely enjoy everything that came afterwards. The dry phase went amazingly. I enjoyed it a lot. And I actually really liked how the final sketch turned out. I think it's just beautiful. Probably it's not the dream sketchbook I hoped it would be, but it's really good. But now let's see what the other competitors have to offer. So this is a proper watercolor sketchbook. Because of this, I'm not really worried about the watercolor performance, right? Instead, I have quite the opposite concern. This paper is thick and there are only 24 sheets of it. It feels wrong to use watercolor paper, especially this thick watercolor paper, for a simple drawing. So I don't think it's that universal. The other thing is texture. A lot of watercolor papers, and this one too, I think, are quite rough. And while this is great for watercolors, it's not always the nicest surface for pencils. We will see about that. Anyway, the watercolor here behaves exactly the way I expected it to behave. While I'm continuing to work on the watercolor phase, let me tell you a little bit about the references I've picked. For this comparison, I decided to use some photos from my own previous travels. And completely by accident, all 3 photos have pine trees in them. Okay, not by accident. I really love pine trees. They are actually one of my favorite things to draw, so I thought it would be, fun if every sketchbook started with a pine tree from different place. So the first one was actually the pine tree from Paris. This one is from Lucca, Italy. And the last one, the sketch that I'm going to do in the 3rd sketchbook, is going to be from Sicily. And again, once the watercolor was dry, I started to add some colored pencils and crayons, and they layered quite nicely. Honestly, they worked a little better than I expected, especially colored pencils. I can still feel the texture under the pencils, but it just doesn't bother me. They worked really well, but honestly, I didn't feel like I needed them nearly as much as I did in the other sketchbook. The watercolor painting already felt quite complete on its own, so the dry materials were more about adding a few finishing touches, a little extra texture here and there. So I could do it without them. So this is a nice watercolor sketchbook, that's for sure. And now it's time for the wild card, the Darwi Sketchbook. I honestly wasn't even planning to buy this one. What convinced me was the size, it's adorable, and the color also. And the fact that the cover actually says that it can handle a little bit of watercolor, which is unusual for the sketchbook with this not quite thick paper. This paper is 140 GSM, exactly like my old art creation sketchbook. That one was pretty decent for mixed media, but I always wished it to be able to handle just a little bit more water. So I don't have high expectations here, but we will see. And okay, it didn't take long. This paper and watercolor are clearly not best friends or anything. It can survive a bit of water, this is true, but the whole experience reminds me of painting on really good printer paper. It can handle some water. It's not destroyed by water or anything. It can handle some water the way printer paper, good, thick printer paper would, which is not that much, and it's not enjoyable. So it's not for the watercolor users. But then I switched to dry materials. The watercolor layer ended up looking a bit weird and probably lifeless, in my opinion. And if I would stop there, I think I would have been quite unhappy about this sketch. But then I picked up my pencils and crayons, and the sketch started coming together. The pencils and crayons, they added contrast and definition and some texture, and the sketch finally came alive. Dry materials gave it the depth, accents, and I liked it now. This sketchbook is really good for some dry sketches. It has really lovely texture, and I really liked working in it. Alright, let's look at all 3 side by side. I honestly think the results are actually pretty straightforward. If watercolor is your main medium, I would definitely go with the Clairefontaine. It's the obvious one. It's really decent watercolor sketchbook. If you mostly work with dry materials, but sometimes like to add some watercolor, I would probably choose the Canson. I think it gives you a lot of opportunities to work with. And if you are almost entirely a pencil and crayons kind of person, this Darwi Sketchbook is quite a lovely option. I actually genuinely liked all three. I absolutely see myself using every one of them just for different occasions. But I need to pick one today for my upcoming travel, and I think I'll go with the Canson one. And it feels like the best compromise, probably, but it's not like a bad compromise. And I think this is what I was looking for. I'm looking forward to, to have fun with it. Have you tried any of these three sketchbooks? I would really love to hear your experiences, especially if you've used one of them for a long time. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and maybe subscribe. I'll see you in the next one. Bye!